Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Welcome to this podcast. It is a podcast mainly about knitting, some sewing and other crafts as I fancy them. I want to thank you for joining me today. Welcome if you are new, and welcome back to those that are returning. You can find me on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. We also have a lovely Ravelry group called Sweet Lavender Knits group on Ravelry, and so do come on by and check us out. Feel free to introduce yourself in the welcome thread and join in. So today it's going to be a fairly chatty episode with a little bit of knitting content and hopefully not too long. So let's grab your needles, your favorite project that you like to work on, something nice to drink, and let's get started. So first of all, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. I hope 2019 is treating you well so far. Today is January the 6th, 2019, and I am really excited to be sitting here and doing this podcast because it's been, a while. Maybe 2 weeks since our last podcast, 2 or 3, and it's been a really busy season for me. The holidays can get a little, chaotic and just busy, more than you bargain for at sometimes, and I would try and steal away a few moments whenever I could, just to knit a few rows, and that really helped me. The weather has been very, very good for this time of the year. We are going into some colder days in the coming week, but so far it's been fairly mild, which is very surprising, and I am okay with it. We did get a few days of snow here and there, and we got a taste of some Canadian winter, as well as a little bit of a break from the cold with some warmer days, which was always very nice to have, in my opinion. So yes, and then I've been watching on Instagram, or I could see a lot of people posting their Make 9s for 2019, and I have to say that I really I enjoy reading all of the projects that people have planned for themselves for the year, but I can't bring myself to commit to projects ahead of time, specifically to patterns. And so I couldn't do the Make 9 for myself. I mean, I have goals for this year, which I will be sharing with you in just a minute, but I really can't settle for just just specific projects. Like I said, for me, it's all about the process, and I like to learn new techniques, and all of which it keeps evolving because things keep happening all the time. So what starts off in January is not what ends up in December, and all through the year, I would have wanted to enjoy every project that I make, and not because of, and if I put it out there, I would feel very obligated to complete what I said I would. So yeah, it's just a little too much pressure, and we have enough of that in our lives, don't we? So I can't bring myself to do a Make 9, but instead what I do have are some goals, or knitting goals for 2019, and I wanted to share that with you. So I know I want to do more garments in this year because I've enjoyed garment knitting, and I think it's very satisfying to finish a garment. Of course, it takes me a very long time, but for that reason, I have been conservative, realistic, but also a little hopeful, and put down that I want to finish 3 garments. So garments meaning sweaters, cardigans, jumpers, something that is a larger project that does not include shawls. I actually don't have shawls in my goal this year. Instead, I have 3 sweaters or 3 garments, and I also started on January the 1st a hashtag that I will be following all through the year, hopefully, and sort of staying on track with it just for myself. It is my Sweet Lavender Year of Socks. And what that is to start a pair of socks, cast on a pair of socks on the 1st of every month. The 1st is a very busy time for me at work, but a cast on always excites everyone, doesn't it? Like it's just something new to start on. And hopefully I will finish that pair of socks in that month. But a cast on for every month, and by the end of the month, by the end of the year, to have 12 pairs of socks. And that is going to be my year of socks. And if I'm not putting it out there as a knit along, but if anyone is up to the challenge, come join me and we can have a Sweet Lavender Knits Year of Socks KAL. And it'll be just very, very casual in the sense that you can pick a pattern, you can pick what kind of heels, toes, cuffs, anything you want. Just 12 pairs of socks for the year, and a pair that's cast on the 1st of every month. And I want to do more sewing, so definitely more sewing projects, and that's all I put down is more sewing projects. I definitely want to work on my sewing machine a little more this year. I got it last year, and I can't seem to find the time. So going to have to make some time and try and enjoy it. And I know in the summer months I move away from knitting a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to get some sewing done. We'll see. I have put down 2 pairs of mittens. I know I really enjoyed knitting the pair of mittens last year. It wasn't the mittens that I had planned, so I do have one pair of mittens, or not a pair, one mitten of the pair that I've started on, which is my Selbu mittens, and hopefully this will be the year that I'll finish them. Again, it's not the pattern. The pattern is easy. It's just finding the time. Color work means I have to follow a chart, which means I have to, it cannot be my train knitting, and I just need to set aside some time. And I'm trying to have a little bit of a schedule with my knitting, as in, and I'm trying to find out what's the best way to do it, whether to follow through with a project and complete it before I go on to another one, or just do a little bit of everything, and not just randomly cast things on. But then there will be those as well. And yeah, so we'll just see. But I am trying my best. And I realize that I have this really big shine on this side of my face. So I'm going to just tone down the light. Yes, and the last thing was a blanket. I started 2 blankets at the end of 2016. Actually, they were right my Christmas Eve cast on and my New Year's Eve cast on for 2016, and I haven't worked a lot on it. I've recently showed you my granny stripe blanket, and hopefully this will be the year that I finish one of the blankets. We'll see. So those are my goals for this year, 2019, and just now to go through what my goals were for 2018 so you can see how I did. So first I had 3 sweaters. Unfortunately didn't get there. I only completed the 1, which was my Zweig. I had 10 to 12 pairs of socks. I did that. I got 10 pairs of socks. I had 1 pair of mittens, which I did complete, and 1 blanket, which I sadly have not. I also put down that I would join 4 major knit-alongs, and that I did. I wasn't successful in all of them, but I think my idea was to knit along or join in a knit-along and then you know, enjoy the process of that. And I can say, yes, I did enjoy all 4 knit-alongs. And actually, there were more than 4, but 4 major knit-alongs, which I enjoyed. So those were my goals for 2018. That was probably the first year that I set out hard and fast goals for myself. And so here I am, goals for 2019, and we'll see how I get through with it. And maybe this year, as I complete one of the goals, or as I go through my projects and complete them, I will reiterate what my goal was for that particular category, and you know, sort of keep you on track with it. Just trying to be a little more accountable for my goals, but then again, you want to take it nice and slow and enjoy it as much as you can. So moving on to finished objects, and I do have one this week which I am excited to show you about, because it's been completed for over a week now, and the recipient, who it was not intended for but now has claimed it, is very, very eager to have the pair of socks. So I have finished my log cabin socks, and for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you would have already seen these. I posted a picture of them. They are the log cabin colorway in timber yarns, and the pattern I've used is the Skype socks. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I will put the details of all of that on the screen. This was my birthday cast on in October, and I just did a birthday cast on just to cheer myself up, and the cheer is not about getting, you know, getting a year older. It's just about missing one of my friends. And so yeah, I finished the cast on. The contrast heels, toes, and cuffs were done in a mini skein that was part of the Backyard Chicken collection by Hugh Loco, and I knit the other mini skein and the main yarn as a pair of socks for my son last year, and this one I've been able to use here. So these are knit for me, for my size. They are 64 stitches, and very simple pattern it is, and it's a ribbing. So if I take them off, let me just take off one so I can show you. Yeah, so once I take them off, you can see that it really cinches up very well because of the ribbing. My youngest son, who is turning 10 this week, at the end of the week, he loves these socks. He tried them on and it fits him. It's a little, you know how socks have to be with negative ease. I would say it's got 0 ease. So it fits him just right, but it could be more snug on him. But what I was surprised was his foot actually fits him. The foot of the socks fits him well. And because of the ribbing, it fits him too. The only thing was, oh, I didn't even send. The only thing was that he does not like his the leg of the sock so long, so he kind of scrunches it down and wears it, tried it on like that. And he liked it so much that he said, Mama, these are going to be for me. And because they're, you know, not too girly, and they do look nice, I was more than happy to let him have it. But my only condition was that I showed it on the podcast first before I gave it to him. So I guess I have to weave in that end as well, and then they will be Joshy's socks. So that is my finished object for today. And now moving on to works in progress. I have been working very, very hard on, very, very hard. I've been working and enjoying, but working hard. Yes, I have been working hard. It is my Beaumont jumper, and It is a free pattern that was posted on the Blacker Yarns website. It is also available on Ravelry, and it is a lovely cabled sweater that has a lovely cable jumper that has a yoke with sleeves that are with a cable pattern, and then you pick up and knit in the round once you're done with the top of it. This is where I was. Here is the sleeve, and ignored this one for now, and I had come up the sleeve, up the side, and stopped here the last time I showed you. So since then I completed this side, and I think I did the last time I showed you. I had this side completed. I went back, picked up this side, and I've knit all of it. I can't remember where I showed you last, but anyways, here it is. The neck is all done, and now I am just right here at the beginning before I start decreasing again for my left sleeve. So here you can see that there's a little bit of neck short rows, not short rows, it looks like a dip in the front with a higher neck at the back. And how I did that, this is not part of the pattern, it's just something that I thought of and did just to accommodate for a larger arm size for me, was to increase on the back, increase the cable on the back, and so it sort of brings it up a little bit in the neck, and it looks great. I freeform tried it on without any of, like just tried it on to see if my head goes through the neck opening, and yeah, it looks nice. It looks very nice on me, and hopefully it will after I've completed it as well. So here is where I am now, and I'm going to be decreasing it, and I have to say I really enjoy working on it. But this again requires me now to follow charts. So far I've been able to knit without following the chart as much. I mean, there is a portion where there is a chart to follow, but after that it's a little bit of knitting and just using the cable stitches every now and then, and I was able to knit a lot faster. But now, since I'm onto the sleeve, it is going to be a little slow because I have to follow the charts again. But after that, it's just picking up on the bottom here, and then just knitting in the round all the way down. I believe there's a little bit of waist shaping if you want to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the waist shaping because I heard somebody on a podcast recently say how the waist shaping actually emphasized the wrong bulges. And so I definitely have bumps and lumps that I don't want to emphasize. So I'm still thinking about whether I should do the waist shaping or not. If you have any tips on that, do let me know. Post your comments and let me know that. Yes, so that was my first work in progress. It is my primary work in progress, and it's housed in this lovely buku bear bag that was a birthday present. I love this bag, and it is so large it can probably fit 2 sweaters in here, and it's very roomy, and I love it. That is my first work in progress. The second work in progress is my arrow caterpillar shawl. I'll put the designer's name up on the screen, and the pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry. I believe it's under a foreign name as well that I will not try to pronounce or try to read. I do not know what language that is. But here is this shawl. I will put the link of the pattern down in the description box, and I would really encourage you to just go and have a look at how the pattern looks. It is a very, very interesting shawl. It's all garter stitch, but just the way it knits up, and then the way you would wear it. So there are these slits in the shawl on one side. It's an asymmetrical shawl, all created by short rows basically, so lots and lots of short rows. I'm into the second half of the shawl. I'm using a very short cable, so I can't really show you the full impact of it, but sort of if I hold it back here, you can see I've used 2 different yarns to stripe it, just to add a little interest to the shawl. And yeah, you can see that it goes into a very pointed edge, where the last stitch here is never knit so far. So it's the cast on stitch right here that has not been knit into as yet, and I believe it will not until the very last bit of the shawl. The way the pattern is written out is very very simple, and you have to sort of read it a little bit to understand what exactly to do. It's not broken down in rows as such, but sort of gives you an idea as to what to do. So I've enjoyed that way of reading a pattern too, in the sense that it really does allow you to sort of have a formula in how to knit up this pattern, rather than hard and fast numbers, but just let you to play around with it a little bit. So there are 2 increases. First of all, the short rows going this way to increase the width of the shawl, but also the length of the shawl, where it's growing, if you can see, this way. So that's been quite interesting. And as you can see, I've sort of carried the yarn on the side here with the darker yarn, but I've been breaking off on the lighter because I didn't find it very good to look at on the lighter yarn. So the 2 yarn that I'm using, this is by Shibui, Shibui. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but anyways, I'll put it up on the screen. It is, and this whole shawl is just like kitten soft. It is very, very soft, and I'm holding and I'm striping it with a mohair silk, kid silk, and I will put up the yarns on the screen if I can find it. Well, actually, I have it here. It is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. It is in the Silk Whisper brand. I don't know if that's a brand or a dyer's name, but there it is, and it's 25 grams of the mohair. And yeah, it says dyed and packaged in Canada by Sweater Kits. Okay. And yes, I am knitting it on my Leica needles. And I have to say, now since I've been knitting on it for quite a while, I can talk a little bit about these needles, is that I really, really enjoy them for wooden needles. If I used metal needles on this and the mohair, it would just be too slippy, first of all, and with the mohair it might be a little hard for me to pick up the stitches. I found one already where I've picked up fiber instead of the stitch, and I've had to sort of wind it up, and it looks a little botched. I'm not gonna point it out right now because in the grand scheme of it, you really can't tell so much. It's there somewhere where I've done that, and yeah. But it's a fun knit, and I've been enjoying it. It's just very soft and cozy to knit on, and it's garter. Don't have to do a lot of thinking. So yes, it's one of my easier knits. It's my second work in progress. I'm housing it in this project bag that I got at the Pittsburgh Knitting Festival. I can't read, the writing is very small, but I will put it up on the screen. It's too small and I can't read it right now, but it's a lovely project bag that I enjoy having this shawl in there, and because it's so fine, the yarn, it can fit in here, and it's got lots of room, and it's very cozy, and I've got hair on it. But yeah, it's a nice project bag. Moving on to my third work in progress, and this is a new cast on. this is my January socks. So like I said, I'm casting on one every month on the first of the month, and this is my first of the month for January that I've cast on, and it is, I'm gonna call it my January sprinkle socks, because it reminds me of sprinkles in the many colors, and I just love the way the yarn is knitting up. The yarn is this lovely cake that looks a little messed up, but here it is. And you can see all the lovely colors on it, and I posted it on Instagram, and many of you told me how beautiful the yarn looks. I agree, I love it. It's Madeline Tosh in the Euro sock, and the colorway is something I cannot pronounce, so I'm gonna hold it up to you. It's Huipil. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's lovely sock yarn. And of course, Mad Tosh, it is, Euro sock is, let me see, 100% merino wool. It doesn't say it's superwash, so I can tell you that I am enjoying knitting it. It is to my hands, I feel it is a lot softer than superwash, and it just feels a little more squishy, which is nice. I've done a 2x2 rib on the top for the cuff, and then gone in, and I didn't want to knit vanilla socks. For those of you who've been watching for a while, you'll know that I don't enjoy knitting vanilla socks, and so I've done this pattern, which is very subtle, and because of the yarn you can't really see much of it, but it's a slip stitch pattern, which I hope to repeat on a plain yarn or a tonal yarn, just to show it off better, because I really like it. There you can see of the pattern, the texture a little bit, maybe not so much, but there. And I plan to repeat it on a tonal maybe for February, we'll see, and then you will see the pattern better. But I can tell you, even though you can't really see it, I've enjoyed knitting it, and this knit up just over the last couple of days. I did cast it on, and I've been purely knitting on this on the train. So it's about 20 minutes in the morning. That's all I've been knitting, and I've already knit up this much, which is quite a bit for me. I am a slow knitter, and so I wanted to bring out some of the colors that are not so obvious in here, and I've picked this very light pink that, if you may not see it right now, but once I put in the heel, I'm sure it'll pop from within here. It is there, tiny speckles of pink, if I can point to some of it, right here, right there, and it's the paler pink. So yeah, and I thought that'll look nice and a little girly, and hopefully it'll keep my son away from these socks, because I want them for me. We'll see. But that is my third work in progress. The pattern is just something that I've come up with, and so that's why I do want to do it again on a tonal yarn or plain yarn, so that you will be able to see it better. I'm going to just put these socks in here before he has it, because I do want to weave in that end before I give it to him. So yes, those are my works in progress. I've been knitting and I've been enjoying. And as far as my acquisitions, I got a package this week, over the last, just this past week, and it is one that I was anticipating quite eagerly for a cast on. Probably at the end of this month, we'll see. I'm trying to work on the Beaumont jumper, and at least get to the point where I'm knitting the stocking net, and then I can move on to something else that requires a little more brain power. And I've been very eagerly shopping online for some DK weight yarn because I wanted to make I wanted to make the Rocaine sweater in it, and my yarn has arrived. So give me a sec while I reach over and grab the yarn. Okay, so the package itself is a fairly big box that I'm not gonna show you the whole box or anything, and it is just 12 skeins of each of these yarns, and I took 2 just because I wanted to try the 2 bases. The first is Knit Picks Squish DK, and this is in the Bordeaux colorway, and this is my first choice. The colorway is my first choice for the Rocaine sweater. So I had to pick between Swish, which I've never tried before, the base, and it is 100% superwash merino wool, and there are 123 yards of it in 50 grams. It's put up in this this form. I'm not sure how you call it, like a ball of yarn. Yeah, and that's the first one, and I've bought enough for my Rocaine sweater, so that's the first. Okay, and the second, I really wanted to try out, they had a recent sale on luxury yarns, which was almost 30 to 40% on some of the different bases, on some of the different bases, and I have never tried gloss DK, so this is what the other one that I tried, and I wanted it in a different color because and then I thought about colors that I would later be able to pick the pattern for, and I thought navy goes with a lot of stuff, and so I picked navy. The DK gloss is 70% merino and 30% silk, and now feeling both of these, I can tell you this is definitely softer, squishier, but this is not so bad. It's pretty soft itself, and it is superwash merino, so it's, yeah, it's something that I'm used to. So yeah, I like the sweater. Not sweater, I wish it were a sweater already, but I like this color, and I know it is something that I'm sticking to my usual colors, but I wanted to enjoy knitting it, you know, and I think it'll be a nice complement to my skin tone. We'll see. I'm trying to go into more of the bolder jewel tones because apparently it's supposed to be good. It's supposed to go well with my skin tone, so we'll try it out and see. And here, this is my navy, and yeah, I think I could pull off a navy as well. I do have a few things in navy, or that'll go with navy. Yes, so those have been my acquisitions. I look forward to this week. I hope to get more knitting done, and we'll see. I'm trying to move into a more regular schedule with my podcasting. I'm almost afraid to say so because as soon as I do, then I'm not able to podcast, but we'll see. This month is, like I mentioned before, is my youngest. He's turning 10 on the 10th of January, and so we're going to be busy with a birthday party at the end of the week on Saturday. But I plan to take along my knitting. The kids are going for laser tag, and I'm going to be taking my knitting with me while they are doing their thing and playing, and because after that I would have to deal with a whole bunch of 10-year-olds, and you know, it might be a little more than I can handle, so I might as well have my knitting. I might as well be armed with my knitting. And yes, so that is something that's going to be coming up. Other than that, sort of a calm down after all of the holidays for us. But thank you all for joining me today. I hope you got some knitting done. I hope you got some crafting done. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the week, and catch you again the next time. Happy knitting. Bye-bye.